All right, guys. So, in sales really is a skill set and a craft. And partly it's just where you sit and how you sit. So we do the very basic listing presentations, how you come in. Remember, even how you come to the door, right? So when you come to the door and knock on the door, you step back about 3 feet from the door, hands to the side, open and honest. You turn it about a 45-degree angle. The door opens. You turn and face them and smile and say hello. When do you come into the house? If you were in the room, you would all shout out when you're invited, okay? And that really is it. When they invite you to come in is when you enter someone's house. This presentation is kind of that same way. Just covering those bases. And by the way, if they don't invite you, how do you come in? You ask for permission. May I come in? And what do? Pay them a compliment. Now I bring this up because our in-home sales is really its own skill set, and dig into the body language class where we talk about that. So these presentations will go so much better. So when you sit down, you're sitting at the table, it's a 45-degree angle, you get a pad of paper out, you ask them if it's okay if you take notes, and you ask a lot of questions. There are less interruptions when you do it this way. You ask a lot of questions. This is the need stage to figure out which one of those things, as Dennis mentioned, is the most important thing to them. Open-ended questions: how, what, where, why, where are they going? Invite them to comment, demonstrate a sincere interest by asking follow-up questions and taking notes, and provide any additional information needed at that point, guys. The notes are very important. It actually sends the signals what they're saying is important to you, and that's what they're looking for. You ask closed questions, ended questions when you're trying to get to this decision-making process, right? Remember, always, always, always at some point, you do have to ask for the next step and close. Simplest question always to close, believe it or not, at the end of your presentation is, do you have any other questions? Because the advantage of that is, if they do, you can answer them. If they don't, naturally you move on to the next step. Here's the next step. Got to be empathetic to all their needs, even if you maybe they're not completely valid. And that whole mindset is that you want to be able to do certain things of assistance to them to help them move forward, right? Know the closes for each stage of the presentation. Do you have any additional questions? Would that be helpful? Is that something that makes sense for you? Do you understand how this can help get you the most number of people in the house to find that one person willing to pay that highest price? You will also align expectations. This is the one thing. If they ask a question, and you're like, well, that's not really how we do it, you don't respond to it then. In the notes, when you get to your presentation, that's when you address it. You may say, well, you mentioned you want it held open every weekend. May ask why. And then you're going to show them where buyers come from, why maybe that's overexposure. But what you wouldn't do that is push back in the beginning prior to presentation, because then you don't have that, they don't have that trust in you to move forward, right? And that they're open to listen to you, what you're doing. So you're going to answer those questions in the presentation. Hopefully this is helpful, and move to the next step.